There we go. There we are, ladies. Good morning. How are you this beautiful Monday morning of the week of Thanksgiving? I know we have a lot of ladies that are in Canada and in other countries, and you celebrated that back in October. But for those of you in the States, we're celebrating gratitude this week, as well as Thanksgiving. And I know many of you have gratitude on the brain, people you're grateful for, things that you're grateful for. And today I'm grateful to have another member with us, Mary Scott, who is one of our VIP members. And she's going to be talking all about advice for business startups, something so close to my heart. So welcome to the interview, Mary Scott.
Thank you so much, Colleen. It's great to be here.
And you are also somewhere else this week. Is that correct?
I am. Usually I'm in St. Louis, but this week I'm in New Mexico.
Wonderful. Are you celebrating with family and friends for Thanksgiving?
Yep, I'm with my son and my 2 grandkids.
Oh, wonderful. It's so great to be around family this time of year. So Mary, tell me why business startups are so near and dear to your heart.
Well, one of my favorite quotes is from Hello, Dolly. And at one point she says, money, pardon the expression, is like manure. It doesn't do a bit of good unless it's spread around, helping young things to grow.
Love that.
So I really want to help young things grow. I want to see startup businesses become wildly successful. I'm a firm believer in giving back, but you have to make money to share money. So I have a large breadth of experience in a large number of different industries and organizations, and a real good way of connecting with folks. So I want to share, and I want startups to be helped.
Well, let's talk about your past and a little bit of the accolades and where you've been and what your path has looked like. So Mary, share with the listeners and those that are watching today that are thinking about starting a business or in the beginning stages, why are you, where does your credibility come from? What have you done in the past?
I was a video producer. I've made documentary films that have been nominated for an Emmy. I've been doing business to business video for many, many years as make-believe TV. When COVID hit, I decided to step out from behind the camera and start actually talking to people about these kinds of things. Although when I moved to St. Louis 6 years ago, I ended up in the middle of the startup community. And it was just so cool. The can-do attitude was amazing. And I was part of some of the early stage organizations that were helping startups in St. Louis. There were dozens of resources. But when I first got there, they kind of didn't know where each other was. Like everybody's not on the same page, but they're all in the same book. Mm-hmm. So I decided, hey, let's do one-stop shopping. And I started contacting resources and making notes in an Excel spreadsheet. And I developed the St. Louis Startup Resources Guide. I subsequently showed the folks at 1 Million Cups how to do that in their own neighborhoods, because I think startups need access to resources and they need to know which resources are going to be the best ones for them. So that's where I'm coming from.
That's wonderful. Yes. Having a plethora of resources. And then, like you said, knowing which ones to be able to utilize and in the order in which to utilize those, because when you're a new startup, sometimes you're just reaching for that next shiny thing and blowing a lot of money that necessarily doesn't need to be invested, or you're not doing it in the right order. So having someone guiding you down that process can be very, very helpful. And talk to me about some of the ways that you've been, since the pandemic has happened, what are some of the ways that you've been guiding those that you've been working with on those successful startups?
Well, we've been doing a lot of possibilities for presentations for startups on Zoom. 1 Million Cups has just moved right to Zoom from their regular presentations on Wednesdays at 9 in the morning. The other thing is that most startups have an idea. They have something they can do or something they can build, but they kind of don't know business. So I started doing a workshop on the 10 mistakes startups make, because you should make mistakes, but you shouldn't have to make the mistakes other people have already made. So that's a big one. And one of the first things people need to do is validate the idea. That's something that people forget, that, this great ideas just come to my head and it's going to work and it's going to change the world, except that you haven't done a Google search that it's already been done. Or that there's somebody in your neighborhood who's kind of doing the same thing that maybe you should partner up with.
Yeah.
Or ask people who don't know you, do you think this is a good idea? Or ask potential customers, do you think this is going to be helpful, or is there something else you need?
Yeah.
So that's a big one. But yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff on Zoom and outreach to people through LinkedIn and creating, coffee on Zoom.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many different ways to connect. As a new business owner, as a startup, you want to get a good tribe of people around you. You want to be able to have people around you that have done it before you, right? That can give you the advice on the right steps to take, when to take those steps. And then also connections and nurturing relationships are really the best way. That's why Lead Up for Women exists. It's about connecting and getting visibility out there as much as you can, because you can build any business you want to build, but if no one knows you exist, you're not going to get any sales.
Right. And that's one of the reasons I really like Lead Up for Women. It's a great way to do some marketing, as well as to get really good collaboration and feedback on whether or not what you're doing is making sense for people.
Right. Yeah. Testing the market and getting that credibility, so that you realize if it's something that is in demand, right? Because if you have a business, you're solving a problem. But if you think the problem exists, but no one else thinks the problem exists, then you may not have a product that somebody wants to purchase. So that could be a problem as well, for sure. Yeah. So talk to us about your free download that you have. I know you said you had a free download for the listeners too. Well,
I have a couple of them. Certainly the St. Louis Startup Resources Guide is a great sort of template, because a lot of that stuff is specific to St. Louis, but a lot of those organizations are national. So you can find 1 Million Cups in your neighborhood. You can find Venture Cafe. You can find the small business development corporations, which all provide free service and resources to startups. So those are good starting places. I also have a download of the 10 mistakes people make, so that you can figure them out and not do those. And last thing, I recently put together 10 steps to actually legally start a business, so that you set things up properly in the first place and you do things in the order they need to be done, so that you don't get slammed in the face later because you forgot something.
Right. Let's talk about a couple. And I know you have a website that you're going to be sharing, and it'll be below in the comments, but let's share real quick for anyone who wants to go look right now. Where would they be able to find those resources? What's the name of your website?
Okay, the Startup Resources Guide is at stlstartupecosystem.org. That's easy to find. And my website is businessriff.com. That's business RIFF, because I like to use improv to improve your business. I love it when people throw me a problem or a challenge and just let me riff on it, because I'll come up with ideas and solutions and perspectives that they hadn't thought of.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So yeah, Business Riff has a lot of access to some of the downloads and some videos, and my Facebook Live. I interview someone with startup advice every week on Tuesdays at 1:00, so that we've got a nice YouTube channel with a lot of good advice for startups from experts.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about a startup and some of the first steps that they should do, which is develop a business entity, right? And create that entity, and getting the advice, I would say, from a good CPA if you've got one, financial advisor that's working with you, because that CPA is going to help you understand the best way to develop and form your entity, whether it be a LLC, whether it be an S corp. There's several different
Right.
ways, partnerships to do that.
Mhm.
Then you want to look at getting business insurance no matter what. Some people think, well, I do a
Yeah,
lot of advice giving, right? I'm online.
right. You
I
still
work with
need
them one-on-one.
liability insurance. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. So you do need business insurance. You also want to set yourself up a checking account, a business checking account, and you'll need an EIN number, which is a tax ID number,
yeah.
to be
That's
able
all
to
on the
do that.
list.
Good. Good. I'm glad
That's
that
all
it's
on the
on your
list. And
list.
the first thing is that, after you kind of need to validate that idea before you set anything up. But then the first thing is to make sure that you're that when you name your business, come up with a name that has an available URL. So if you need to, every business needs a website, just like businesses back in the day needed to be in the yellow pages. And if you can name your business in a way that nobody else has done before, so that you can own that URL. Once you've got that name and the URL, then yeah, your personal money and your business money need to be in two separate institutions.
Yeah. We call that
And
piercing the
everybody,
corporate
yeah,
veil.
and everybody needs a team. Your accountant helps you keep money. Your marketing person helps you make it in the first place, and the lawyer keeps you out of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And
So
so
everybody needs those people as part of the team. If they're not actual employees, you need to have relationships, and the money you spend hourly is going to save you all kinds of problems down the road.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, when setting all this up, make sure you get the best legal advice. So you're doing
Right,
it right the first way. And I always say, if you want to become a business owner, you got to pull up your big girl pants and do it the right way. You don't want to do it half-assed, meaning you don't want to go out there and not get business insurance, not set up a business entity,
right,
have money filtering
right,
in through your personal account. Someone could sue you, and when they pierce the corporate veil, if your money has been
right.
mixed with business and
Sure,
pleasure,
exactly.
they can come straight through to your personal assets. And many people don't
Right.
know that. But in doing this for
Mhm.
22 years, I'm very well aware that that can be a huge problem for a lot of individuals, especially because you have more personal assets to start out when you start a business than you do your business assets. So then the goal is to grow your business assets, keeping them
Right.
separate from your personal assets. And as you do that,
Mhm.
to build business credit, that's a whole nother conversation. But you
Right.
want to work on getting credit cards just in your business name, using them and paying them off just to build credit. Because
Sure.
then you
That's
can start
all
getting,
real good stuff that the EIN is good for.
yep.
And yeah, the IRS is going to want to know that this is a business, not a hobby. So that's where your accountant can help you fine tune things and decide what to spend, how much on when.
That's true.
Or
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
register a business in your location, even if it's a DBA, just to get started, because you can always change the type of business later on,
Mhm.
depending on how you're going. And the sooner you get some income, the better you're going to be.
Right. Yeah, the NAICS code of what you do can change over time, especially if you
Right,
evolve in your business over time. So you started as being one thing, but then
right.
it evolves into being something else. You can definitely make
Sure.
those changes as you go on. So
Sure.
again,
And as you grow as your startup, you start learning what some of these acronyms mean. An EIN is an employee identification number. It's what the IRS uses to differentiate between a business and a
yeah.
person. And it also is where you're going to pay your sales tax
Hmm.
if you've got a product. Um, NAIC codes are the codes that the government uses to differentiate what business or what subset of a business something is. So if you're going for any government contracts, and sometimes there are set asides for women-owned businesses or minority-owned
Yep.
businesses, So if you've got those codes and you can get yourself certified as whatever those businesses are, and again, a lot of the free resources can help guide you to where these certifications can be obtained for the lowest amount of money.
Yeah, and I highly suggest if you are a women-owned business that you
Yeah.
register at sba.gov for
Right.
a women-owned
Yeah,
business for sure.
right.
Because
That's
then
called
you,
a WBE, which is a women's business enterprise.
mhm. Yep, and then you open yourself up for grants and contracts and through the government
Exactly.
that you're not that there aren't available to you now until you register. So
Right.
highly recommend that. Well, today has
Yeah.
been just a plethora of information, Mary. Thank you so much for
Oh,
bringing
thank you for
that to
having me, Colleen.
everyone. Yeah, this is great. So for all of those of you that want to know where to get these resources, how to get moving on a lot of these pieces, Mary Scott is going to be putting comments below so you can reach all of her resources, reach all of her guides, and also some information on how to reach out to directly to Mary so you guys can work through all of these pieces in your business if there are some things you haven't quite done yet. So Mary, thank you so much for being with us this morning on our Member Monday Spotlight. And we're so happy to be able to spotlight you today as one of our VIP members. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Colleen.
All right, everyone, till next time, have a wonderful rest of your week. And if we do not see you or you do not hear from us before Thanksgiving, have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving with your family and friends, and be safe. And remember, our hearts are full of gratitude for you and everything that you've meant to lead up for women and all of those that you connect to lead up for women. So thank you again so much. Have a wonderful week, ladies. Bye-bye.